Hello, this is Thomas, K4SWL. If you're new here, I like to do real-time, real-life amateur radio field activation videos. And today I'm at Tuttle Educational State Forest, and we will do a Parks on the Air activation. However, first, I'm going to do a new segment called Getting to Know You. I've had this idea in the past to do separate videos called Getting to Know You sessions, where I take some of my field radios that I use regularly and kind of highlight them in a video and talk about what I love about the radio in particular. And, the funny part is I have done reviews on almost all the radios I own, and I'm very lucky that I have quite a lot of field radios in my field arsenal. If I'm being honest, I do have a lot, and I'm kind of addicted to them. And I've done a lot of these radios I've reviewed for magazines and things and ended up buying them after the review, or I bought them in advance and then reviewed them. I've done that as well. And when you're writing a review, though, at least when I write a review, I always write the review from the perspective of, I try to view the radio through the eyes of a wide variety of operators. That's the way I like to do a review, because I don't like reviews that I feel like the operator has a very particular way that they operate. And so the review is based on how they operate, where they operate, what mode they use, what accessories they use. And when I start to read a review, then I can tell that they're just coming from one perspective. Then I have to take that review with a bit of grain of salt. So when I write a review, I really do try to look at it from different points of view. I try to look at it from a CW operator point of view, from a single sideband operator point of view, from a digital mode operator point of view, from a portable operator, from a home operator. I try to speak to all those things in my reviews as best I can. And in a sense, I depersonalize it. I may have a paragraph or two about my own thoughts, and maybe why I bought the radio if I bought it. But it doesn't really go into what I particularly love about the radio, being the operator I am with my own personal preferences. So this Getting to Know You series is going to be more of just like the parts, sort of the personality of each one of these radios and the aspects that give me that warm fuzzy feeling, when I use that radio in the field. And so I plan to do this for quite a few radios. I'll start out by doing this Getting to Know You session and then do an activation with the radio. I should tell you in advance, I do not edit my videos. If you've never been here before and this is your first time watching, I don't edit my videos. So sometimes they'll have a very, very basic edit, just clipping together two sections of the video, but I don't edit them. So what I do instead is I always put chapters in the timeline below. So you can look in the timeline below, just hover your mouse in the timeline on YouTube, and you should be able to go directly to the sections of the video. So you can skip over the parts you don't want, or skip the whole video if you want to. That's perfectly fine too, because we're actually going to sit down and talk for a bit. My videos are very long format. They're exactly what YouTube tells creators not to do. So there you go. I'm really excited today. Oh, and by the way, the reason I'm going to be under a shelter today is we have had probably 4 days of rain, maybe 5 days, and we're still not out of the woods yet. There's still a lot of rain to come, but the system is starting to pass, and so the rain's a little more sporadic. It's already rained here today once, and it's probably going to rain while I'm out today. It's very overcast right now. So we're going to do our activation underneath this shelter. Now, I haven't decided what antenna I'm going to put up yet or anything like that, but we are going to do the activation in this shelter one way or another. So let's get to it and talk about our radio today for the Getting to Know You section. And this radio actually is one you see me use a whole lot. It's the Elecraft KX2. And it's because I'm using this radio today that I even thought about starting the Getting to Know You series with the KX2. And I'll tell you the story behind it. This particular activation should have never happened. I had not planned to be anywhere near Tuttle today. But yesterday, I got a call from my family back in my hometown and my mom was having some issues and had been taken to the hospital. Turned out to not be anything, very serious, fortunately. But I almost always have a bag packed at my house, ready to go with my clothes in it and stuff. So I grabbed that, and I didn't think I'd be doing an activation anyway. But I always have a little field kit in my car. But still, I thought, well, I'll just grab my backpack that happened to have my KX2 loaded in it from some other travels and things I've done recently in Alabama, Ohio, Kentucky, West Virginia, and all those places I've been lately. And so I just grabbed it. And the reason I grabbed it is one of the reasons why I wanted to start the Getting to Know You section with the KX2. So basically, I just love this radio. The KX2 is probably my all-time favorite field radio, period. It really is. And I want to say that with some qualifications. I do feel kind of conflicted when people ask me what my favorite radio is. And a lot of that is because I do write reviews. And I'm kind of out there publicly, with a YouTube channel and blogs and all that stuff. And I don't want people to think that my favorite radio is going to be their favorite radio. The KX2 is a case in point. I know people who purchased the KX2, thought they'd love it, and it just didn't jive with them for some reason. And so they sold it and got something else, That was not the case for me. I absolutely love everything about the KX2, so much so that when Elecraft comes out with another field portable radio, I am not one of those who wants a radio that's going to be like a KX4, that's like maybe a mini K4, something more akin to like an ICOM IC705 or something in the field. I love this radio so much, I'd really like them to come out with a KX 2.5 or maybe a KX 1.5 even. I would rather this radio be use and leverage everything that they've done so well, and maybe even simplify it even further, make it even more basic than it already is. As is, though, this radio is just pretty outstanding. And I've done some surveys recently on QRP.com where I talk about, and I ask readers, the first two I did. One was, what radio do you use more than any other HF field radio? QRP HF field radio. And what QRP HF field radio is your favorite? In both cases, I voted the KX2. And that is because of how I operate. That has everything to do with me, and it doesn't have to do with overall performance of the radio or any of those other things. Every radio has its pluses and minuses, but I guarantee you, I know so many different operators who their very favorite radio is a radio that I don't like as much, but they love, and that's because it's everything having to do with your love of a radio really is just a personal decision. Is how you operate, where you operate, what modes you use, how you like the ergonomics of the radio. All those things have to do with it. So let's dig in to the Elecraft KX2 and talk a little bit about why I love this radio so much and how I've gotten to know it over the years. Okay, so here we have the Elecraft KX2. And I'll tell you how I came about purchasing this radio. Basically, I have been writing reviews for a lot of different radio publications, including in the early days Monitoring Times and now the Spectrum Monitor magazine. And I've written for CQ, I've written for Radcom several times, and I primarily do reviews and feature writing and that sort of thing. When the Elecraft KX2 was first introduced, it was 2016. And I was on my way to the Dayton Hamvention. And even though I'm a Elecraft owner, and I've been an Elecraft owner for ages, I keep in touch with Elecraft News, I actually wasn't aware that the KX2 was going to be introduced at Hamvention that year. And I only found out on my way to Hamvention. I remember I'd stopped to have lunch. I looked at my news feed, and this was on a Wednesday, and found out that the KX2 was being introduced at 4 Days in May that year. So I quickly reached out to Wayne and Eric at Elecraft, who I know, I know because I've written reviews of their other gear in the past and have gotten loaner, radios from them. to test. And I wrote to them and said, hey, I'd like to take a look at the KX2 while I'm at Hamvention. Could we meet up? And I ended up meeting up with them when they were setting up at Hamvention that Thursday. So I was able to go in early because I was a vendor that year representing my nonprofit organization that I ran then. And I got together and I got to take a look at this radio. And you have to understand, I own the Elecraft KX3 and I've owned it since 2013 when it was first released. Mine's one of the lower serial numbers of that radio because I bought it to review it. Actually, I got a review unit and then purchased it at full price from them because I liked it. The KX2, when I first looked at it, I thought, this is just like a small KX3, and the KX3 is not that much smaller, or bigger, rather. So it's not that much smaller than the KX3. Where's the market going to be for this radio? And that was before I actually used it. That was just looking at it and comparing it next to the KX3. And they had a display where the KX3 and the KX2 were together. And you looked at them, you just didn't think there was that much of a difference in size. And the KX2, I think they told me at the time was like 85 or 80% of the performance of the KX3, being a much smaller radio. It didn't have quite the filtering and things that the KX3 has. KX3 is very much a benchmark radio, super high performance, excellent filtering, insanely robust front end. It's rated at the time. It was like I think it may have been over the Hilberling transceiver on Rob Sherwood's list based on blocking and that sort of thing. So the KX2 didn't quite have the performance specs of the KX3, but it very much looked like it. It's just the buttons were kind of rearranged for a much smaller format. Has the exact same size display. And I saw it, and they were ready to send me a loaner review unit immediately after Hamvention. But that particular year, I was leaving after I got back home from Hamvention. I was turning around within like 2 days to go on a 2-month trip to Canada, where 1 month or like 6 weeks of that was spent in an off-grid cabin in Prince Edward Island. So I didn't have an address. I didn't have electricity. I didn't have any communications there. And it would have been, they couldn't get me the unit fast enough. And frankly, I just didn't, I didn't have a way for them to send it to me while I was in Canada. It would have been complicated. So I decided just to wait until I was back. And I think it was August of that year. I contacted them on my way home. And when I arrived back in the States, there it was sitting on my doorstep, basically. And I remember that it was a really sort of fortuitous thing that Elecraft released this when they did. 2016, for those of you who participated in this are well aware, it was the year of the ARRL National Parks on the Air event. And National Parks on the Air is like the most fun annual event that the ARRL has ever done, in my opinion. I had an absolute ball in National Parks on the Air. Now, I didn't participate much the first half of the year before Hamvention. I'd only done, I think, maybe a handful of activations with my buddy Eric, WD8RIF, on the way to Hamvention, because that spring had been an incredibly busy one for me. I was teaching some classes. I had a lot of things going on. I just didn't have a lot of free time. That summer, before Hamvention and after Hamvention, I did some activations with Eric and completely got hooked on National Parks on the Air. And then I left the country for 2 months. So when I came back, I was ready to hit National Parks on the Air as hard as I could. That was a U.S.-only program. It wasn't in Canada, really. So I couldn't activate parks in Canada and it be a part of that program. This was celebrating, I think, 100 years. It was a centennial of the National Park Service. And I got back and I got the KX2. I unboxed it. They had sent me, I requested the internal battery, the internal ATU, the battery charger, the fast charger, and KXPD2 paddles. And so I requested all those items. I took this out on the first National Parks on the Air activation I did after returning. And I got back home after the activation. I wrote Eric and Wayne and I said, "You're not getting this radio back. How much do I owe you?" And I ended up just buying it like full price. I may have gotten Hamvention pricing that year. I can't remember, but I paid basically full price for the whole kit. I knew after that very first activation that this was the radio for me. And what it is it's just such a self-contained, self-sufficient radio. So like right now, for example, I've got a battery in it that I need to take out and charge. This battery has taken me through probably 4 activations so far. And here it is. I'm firing it up. It's working. I know that I could do a, it still has 11.6 volts. I may not even change the battery in this right now. But basically, it's so self-contained. It has a battery inside. It's a lithium-ion battery pack that is super efficient. It has the ATU, the KX2 ATU built into it, so it has an antenna tuner. It has an internal microphone on here. The radio, basically all you need to do is attach a key to it and attach an antenna, and you're done. If you're operating single sideband, yeah, you can attach a hand microphone, but you don't even have to do that. You know, you can just get away with using the internal mic in a pinch. But here are the little paddles, so you can just attach it and go for it. Now, at the time, during National Parks on the Air, I was primarily a single sideband operator. And so I did almost all of my activations, with just a few exceptions of some contacts in there, were pretty much all single sideband. So I used this radio with single sideband and just, you know, fell in love with it. So what are the reasons that make this, in my opinion, such an exceptional little radio? It has everything to do with, first of all, the form factor and the weight, right? This radio is super lightweight and super small. You know, you can hold it in your hand. You could almost put it in your pocket. It's just so tiny. It has to be, at time of posting this video, the smallest general coverage multi-band HF radio on the market, at least that covers as many bands as, like, this covers from 80 meters up to 10 meters. The Elecraft KX3 covers 160 and 6 meters as well, with a 2-meter option. So it is definitely a more capable field radio. But the KX2 hones in on really your average portable operator who tends to operate between 80 meters and 10 meters. 6 meters would be nice on this radio, but frankly, 160 and 6 are the two I use the least in the field, tends to be, because conditions need to be right for 6 meters to work really well, and 160 just requires a really large antenna to be efficient, and I just tend not to use it when I'm doing field stuff. So this is kind of caters to the field operator. But it's so small and compact. Now, there are smaller radios. The MTR3B that I own, is the Mountain Topper, is much smaller. All the Mountain Topper radios are, the radio itself is dimensionally probably smaller than the KX2. You know, I have the SW3B, my QCX minis. You know, I've got a list of radios that are actually kind of smaller than this one. But none of them do general coverage from 80 meters to 10 meters, have a built-in battery and ATU that are this size. By the time you take like an MTR3B, which is the size of a pack of playing cards, the thing's so tiny, you know, it only operates on 3 bands. The MTR4B operates on 4 bands. The True SDX operates on, was it 4 or 5 bands? 5 bands. But the performance isn't that great, but it'll operate on multiple bands, and it's smaller. But by the time you add a battery, and if you need an ATU to go along with it, then you've made the radio package much bigger than the KX2 would be. I've talked to so many people about this who've gotten like Mountain Toppers and things like that, and they say, you know, it's kind of funny, but my KX2 package ends up being smaller than the MTR3B package. And a lot of that's because they're adding an ATU to it. Now, you can make a Mountain Topper radio package very, very, very tiny if you really focus on it. If you get a, you know, like a good resonant antenna, so you don't need to have an antenna tuner. If you get a really small, tiny battery to go along with it, you can make the package probably smaller than the KX2. But the KX2 is just so much more capable than the MTR3B. The MTR3B is very, very strategic radio. You know, it's all the important things distilled down to the smallest radio possible. The KX2 has the features of a radio that you would use in your shack, but it's in this compact form factor. It's pretty exceptional. Amazing amount of design work went into this radio. And so the thing is, not only does it have an internal ATU, but that ATU is exceptional. It's probably one of the very best ATUs I've ever owned. You can match almost anything with it. People say you can match a wet noodle or a wet string or something like that. Yeah, you can probably do that with this ATU. It is, if this ATU can't find a match, it's just an antenna you shouldn't be using because there's no match to it. It's such an intelligent antenna tuner as well. And so, that's one of the great things. Not only does it have an internal battery pack that you can put in, and now even with an internal charging, I have the little internal charging module, which they just added this year, here in 2023. Not only does it have that internal battery pack, but that battery pack will carry this radio through, for me, 5 activations. And a lot of that's because I only operate at 5 watts or less. But if I operated at 10 watts, and I did this a lot during the Parks on the Air National Parks on the Air program because I was operating single sideband, I would operate 10 watts single sideband for 1 hour, 15 minutes, and then the voltage would drop enough that it'd take me down to 5 watts and I'd continue operating. Same thing with CW. You'll get about an hour, hour and 15 minutes at 10 watts if you're running a full 10 watts, and then it goes down to 5 watts, and it'll keep going for a long time. But I very routinely, even with I have 2 batteries. One of them's new, one of them's a little bit older, and either one of these battery packs, I've got one here, either one of these battery packs will take me through 5 activations or so. If they're not long activations, if they're like 30, 45-minute activations, I can usually get through that with just one of these packs. Your mileage may vary depending on how you operate and everything else, but they are exceptionally good at keeping this radio on the air for a long time. And a lot of that reason is because this is a very efficient radio. I think on receive, you can get this thing down to about 135 milliamps. And that's one of the lowest in the world of general coverage HF radios. The only general coverage HF radio I know that does better than that is the Lab 599 TX500, Discovery TX500, which is also an exceptional radio. It's a very good radio. But the KX2 is way down there. I think the TX500 I get between 100 to 110 milliamps on receive. This one's 135. The difference in 25 milliamps is really not a whole lot. So really, you can operate this for such a long period of time on that battery. And it's those 2 things alone are a reason why I turn to this radio so often, because it's so capable that even today, knowing I've used this battery and I had not recharged it yet because I hadn't planned to take it out today, I know it'll probably get me through an activation. And I know that no matter what antenna I'm going to throw on this thing, the ATU is going to match it. So that makes this radio a very versatile radio, a very capable, versatile radio, more so than a lot of my other radios. When I'm going into a situation that I don't know, for example, I'm heading to a new summit, maybe I don't know what kind of antenna I'm going to be able to erect on that summit. If I'm traveling and I'm doing a flight or something like that, and I really don't know if I'll get to do a park activation, a summit activation, I don't know what kind of antennas I'm going to be using, or if I'll just have to make one in the field, which you can do with a KX2. Then I'm going to take the KX2 because I know it'll be able to handle it better than like really any of my other radios. Now, the KX3 has the same performance and the same ATU and the same everything. It does not have an internal battery pack. That's the only thing that it really kind of lacks. And it is an exceptional portable radio. And I'll often be asked, hey, I own an Elecraft KX3. Do I really need a KX2? That's really kind of up to you. Performance-wise and size-wise and everything, the KX3 is very, very similar to the KX2, and the KX3 is one of the most capable field radios on the market as well. So it's really a matter of what you think you would like, these 2 radios. But I really love it because, and I use this radio in very heavy rotation because it's just so darn versatile. And especially works out really well when I don't know if, for an impromptu activation like today, if I'm not sure I want to do an activation or not, I know that I can get on the air really quickly with the KX2, get my job done, and pack it up. So if you look in my playlists on YouTube, for all of my activations, I have used the KX2 more than any other. That playlist is longer than any other that I've marked on YouTube. And it's for a reason. It's because I use it a lot. That doesn't mean I don't like my other radios. In fact, I do. And the whole point of this series is I want to tell you about the things that I love about the different radios that I, have available. I want to talk about, why I love the FT818, 817, why I love the KX3, the 705, all those other radios. There are reasons why I love those as well. And hopefully you'll be able to watch some of these. And if you're trying to make a purchase decision, you can kind of say, yeah, I get it. I get why he likes that. And I think I'm the same way. But what I like which is portable operating, as lightweight as possible, primarily using CW, this is a really hard radio to beat. The other thing about it is it does the modes it does really, really well. So CW, you have all of the filtering, all of the controls that you would want with a CW radio. It also has 2 message memories or 3 message memories that you can set up on it, which come in really handy. Maybe it's 4 message memories. I can't even remember now because I only use 3. And it's a really capable CW radio. Single sideband. This has to be the smallest single sideband radio that's on a general coverage transceiver that can output 10 watts with an internal battery. If you're a single sideband operator, the KX2 is an exceptional little radio to take to the field because you can get 10 watts output with it. And that thing carried me through National Parks on the Air when we were in the doldrums of that cycle. We were between cycles almost then, so solar cycles. So it works very effectively for that. On field day, I've used the KX2, and it has a good enough front end that it can handle field day density on the air. It has a really robust front end. Not as robust as the KX3, but it's still very robust. And we were able to make our digital contacts, like on PSK31 and RTTY, just to get the points. And you can do it with the KX2 and KX3 internally. These will output. You send CW, and it outputs those digital modes of PSK31 and RTTY. I mean, it does it natively. So you can do PSK31 without a computer attached, which is kind of fascinating. Now, if you're a digital mode operator, this may not be the choice radio for you. It may or may not. It will require an external sound card in all likelihood. This doesn't have an internal sound card built into it. At the time, not a whole lot of radios were doing that. They were in this compact form factor. So you'll need like an external sound card to run this. And with both the KX3 and the KX2, if you're doing digital modes, you probably want the heatsink option on these because eventually it warms up a bit and it lowers the power output of the radio. I have never put it on here. I don't have a heatsink on the KX2 or my KX3 because I just never run digital modes with those. When I'm doing digital modes in the field, I use my ICOM IC705 and because it's just kind of designed for that. So digital mode operators, maybe you won't like it quite as much, but I do know lots of digital operators that swear by their KX2 and KX3. So that's another, that's sort of another thing that you may want to keep in mind. Not all radios are perfect for everyone. Any bad things about the KX2? The only things really are that it doesn't have 160 or 6 meters, unlike the KX3. It also doesn't have the 2 meter option like the KX3 does. There's just not enough room in the radio to do that. And at present, being honest here, if you're buying this new or used, you're going to pay a premium for it. This is the summer of 2023. Right now, if you're buying one of these from Elecraft, you're going to be waiting months to get it. There's a really, really long lead time on these. The price, I was just looking at the package price for the KX2 with internal battery, internal ATU, this equivalent of the new field pack they have, which is like my low pro field pack here. I think it's a CS60. They have their own version of it now at Elecraft. With like a package price, you're going to pay around $1,600 for this radio, and that's a lot of money. That's more than you would get if you were buying the ICOM IC705 at present. It hasn't always been that price. When I bought my KX2, I remember the base price of it without an ATU, without the battery or anything. I think it started around, don't quote me on this, I think it was like $780 for the base unit. And I think fully configured with everything, you're going to pay around $1,200 or so. But today, the price of the components have gone up. And there's a really long lead time. And the price of used ones, if you can find a KX2 package with those things in it for under $1,100, you found a really good deal these days. I say that because this is a radio, even as pricey as it is, I would consider getting a second one as a spare because I have never had an issue with this radio, but I don't want an issue with it. And it'd be hard to live without it. I love it so much. So I think that's enough said. I've spent probably way too long talking about this, but yeah, that's why I love the KX2. Me personally, that's the reason I like it and the reason I use it so much. I also love the KX1 and the KX3 for different reasons. The KX1 is also one of my very favorite radios, even though it's a super basic radio. Because, to be honest, the radios you use the most often and your favorite radios, they can be completely two different radios. Because sometimes radios just have a certain charm or nostalgia to them that makes you love them and love using them, but maybe they're not the one you turn to the most. I know a lot of people who love their vintage radios more than anything else, but they don't actually use them as often as they use some of their other radios. Same thing goes with my field radios. I find that all the field radios I keep in my sort of arsenal of field radios are ones I love for whatever reason, and it's hard for me to get rid of them, which is the reason why I have so many of them. So the radios I'll be talking about in this Getting to Know You series are going to be all of these radios that are in my field kit that I have no plan to sell or trade or give away or anything. These are the ones I like using and will continue to like using. So anyway, let's stop this and set up the activation and get going here. I need to do this activation in pretty short order. I think I'm going to move to the other side of the picnic shelter over here. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back now. And I have to be honest with you. I decided to go ahead and do my antenna deployment off camera, and that's to save some battery life. I'm down to about 60% on my camera battery right now, and I only have one battery. So I want to try to get as much of this activation as I can in, and it could be a tough day today. We've had really bad propagation lately, so I don't know how long this activation will take me, but I'm not going to do a whole lot more than about 10 contacts or so because I'm kind of pressed for time today. So it took me 2 tries to get the antenna in this particular tree that I wanted. And a lot of that's because I was kind of standing down below to shoot the line up. But I got it through. It didn't take me a minute to do this. And trust me, there's nothing exceptional about me. If you use field throw lines enough, arborist throw lines enough, you will be able to do this as well. It's really not that hard. I set up my PAC-10 in-fed random wire with a 31-foot radiator, which is going up straight vertical. And then I have a counterpoise of 17 feet long that's just strung out here. And I'm feeding it with my ABR Industries 25-foot BNC to BNC RG316 cable. And I've already gone ahead and set up the radio, tried to write up most of my logs here and just get all that ready. I have not spotted myself yet. And in fact, I haven't even scheduled this activation. That's how uncertain I was about doing it today. So let's try to set this up so you'll be able to see everything here over my shoulder, hopefully. Let me see if I can do this right. Well, this would be like right in the way. I've got a part of the picnic table that's right in the way of doing this. So let's try to get this set up here. Sorry about all the noise. Here we go. We'll do it this way. Just look over my shoulder and try to get the radio in. I'm going to move it over to this side. This is what you get when you watch a K4SWL video. All of how the sausage is made. Most other YouTubers would not include anything like this in their videos. Let's turn this on and see if I can get the... actually, it looks pretty good. I'll try to point the radio up a little bit so you can see it a little bit better, maybe. Let's see here. There we go. That CP filter working for me. There we go. At least you'll be able to follow along here. I'll need to spot myself. I did set up my hammer's log. Haven't set this up. This is kind of low light in here, so hopefully you're able to see this okay. Let's move this to the 20-meter band. Hit the ATU. I'm going to grab my spare battery over here just in case this doesn't make it through. I can just plug it in and keep going. Well, the band sounds really quiet. Ugh. Eerily quiet. Here we go. Let's see. Okay, I'll go ahead and start calling CQ. What is going on with my speaker? This is really weird. Let's see, there's something going on with my speaker here. I've talked about how much I love this radio and how flawless it's been, and of course it's going to do something to me now. This may be, you got to keep in mind, I have had this radio so long, and yeah, everything looks like it's okay there. Let's try this again. I've used this radio now probably in hundreds of activations, not including all of my just other time I've had this radio. Let's see. I think I need to double check those speaker wires, or something else weird is happening. Okay, spot myself. Add spot. 14061, 5. Okay, park reference K4861. Hopefully that spotted me. There we go, and I got that ready. We should be good to go. I just want there to be enough propagation to make this work. Tomorrow is field day. I am almost just not ready for it this year. People also ask me if the KX2 is rugged. I have dropped this thing a bazillion times. You can see little places all along the front display here where there's like little places in it where it's chipped off. I've dropped it. It has been everywhere. It's under a lot of pressure in my pack. Sometimes it continues to work. I've never had an issue with the pots or buttons or anything like that failing on me, thankfully. I suspect this is going to be one I'm going to have to slog out here. Just trying to check the spots to see if the RBN has gotten me yet, and it can give me an RBN report. Not yet. Oh. Good to get you in the logs there, Mike. I'm not hearing anything. I have to admit, there's another issue with me today. Is I have an ear that is like stopped up. Oh, there we go. Strong today, Brian. Oh my goodness. You hear that QS Baker? Oh, that's it. The difference between the strong signals and soft signals are pretty dramatic today. almost disappeared on me. They were very, very weak. Got him. Oh no, I've got to go soon. Okay, wait. Oh, man. Okay, I'm going to turn this off, and I've got to do it because I really am out of time here. I've got to hit the road again, and I'm just out of time. It's a shame. I'd like to do this a little bit longer, but I did make 15 contacts here. Let's see if I can take a look at the map. This, again, is not always super accurate, but you kind of get an idea of what the band was doing. And, you know, my internet's not quite good enough to bring up the graphic of the map yet. But you can kind of see down to Texas and Oklahoma, I heard. Yeah, there we go. And out to Colorado. The 20 meters was maybe a little short today. I'm not sure. The fact that I even worked Virginia on 20 meters is pretty impressive. I noticed that a lot of people, you know, sometimes the Hammers app here on the side, as I put in someone's call sign, it'll show me what their location is after I do it. Again, the internet's not great here. I've only got 1 bar of service, so it didn't always consistently do that. But it's really interesting to see that a lot of the people I was working, they were not in their home states. You know, they were in a different state. And that's the reason why you never go by what is on here. You go by what they send you, because they could be out doing something with a group. They could be doing their own POTA rove, whatever. But that was a lot of fun. I am, though, running out of time, so I've got to head on out of here. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you enjoyed the idea, at least, of this getting to know you series here. I plan to do this with other radios. I've got quite a few radios in the lineup. I'll do these over the months, you know, to come. These are not going to be every single week, but probably maybe once a month or something like that. I'll do one of these getting to know you series where I talk about the radio, the things I love about it, and my experiences with it, and then just do an activation afterwards. Again, because I put you know, chapters and stuff in my timeline, don't feel like you have to watch the whole thing. You can skip over what you want to and go straight to the bits you want. That's perfectly fine by me. I would like to say something about today. You'll notice how wishy-washy the band was. And that is indicative of just kind of rough propagation today. You heard some people on top of other people, you know, giving calls. And sometimes, yeah, you can get just kind of rude people that are trying to get their call sign in when you've called for somebody else. But in quite a lot of cases, those people aren't able to hear. They're just not hearing very well. And they think that you're giving a general call for someone to come back, so they're coming back with their call sign. Because over here on my end, I may hear them very loudly. They may hear me not so loudly. They may not hear any other stations on the air, on a day like today especially. So when you have really wonky propagation, you can expect people to kind of be on top of each other a lot more than you would normally with good, stable propagation. So I'm hoping things smooth out for this weekend. We don't have any CMEs or anything for field day, though. With field day, don't worry too much. It kind of creates its own propagation. It's just the bands are so packed that I don't think it'll be, you know, much of an issue anyway. But I had a lot of fun. Also, I will speak to the speaker issue. I have heard the speaker blick out before when I've turned it on, and I just need to look at those speaker connections. That is one of the faults of the KX2, is when you open it to replace out the battery a whole bunch, it does give those speaker wires quite a lot of work. But I've owned this radio since August of 2016. I've done hundreds of activations with it, and I'm only now hearing like a little issue with the speaker, and I can probably go in and fix that with a soldering iron. I just need to do it. I no longer open the back as much as I used to, because I can charge the battery with the internal charger that I installed earlier this year. So I'm not opening it and closing it as much as I used to. And by the way, in the field, if you have a spare battery, there's no need to replace out this battery. If this battery starts to die on you, you can just plug it directly into the radio on the side, and it'll just use that battery instead of using the internal battery. So don't ever feel like you have to stop and swap out batteries in the middle of it. Just plug something into the side of it. In fact, the KX2 in full sunlight, and we actually have sunlight right now. This is the first time I've seen the sun in like 4 or 5 days. If you had your panels out, like solar panels, and you're operating, you can, if they're rated correctly, and you need to look at the voltage and all that stuff to make sure, you can actually plug it directly into the KX2, and it'll run off of the solar power directly unless the solar power voltage drops below what the battery voltage is. It uses whichever voltage, at once. Before you do that, though, read up on the notes about these. Wayne has talked about this before in KX2 presentations about the fact that you can just hook up, an appropriately sized solar panel to this, like a small portable solar panel. And if that solar panel is in full sunlight and you're getting really good voltage off of it, it'll literally just run directly off of the panel as you're using it. So, but again, don't take my word for it. Make sure you got the right voltage rating on your panel, and you maybe want to talk to Elecraft about that. But I think that's a kind of cool thing about the KX2. Again, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for your support if you're a Patreon or Coffee Fund supporter. I really appreciate that. You make this possible. You make it possible for me to do these videos more often, and I really appreciate that. I'm going to pack up here and head out. I hope you have a wonderful week ahead, or weekend, whatever I'm releasing this, and I hope you get to go out and play a little bit of radio. As I always say, amateur radio is an activity that really requires ambassadors from within the hobby to kind of promote it. So do your bit, and if you meet someone who doesn't know about radio, maybe you can talk to them about it. If you know a newcomer to the hobby, maybe help them out and be an Elmer for them. That is one of the most important things you can do, in my opinion, in the world of radio, is to help others out. And on that note, let's all be kind to one another, because all we got on this whole planet is each other. Thanks so much, and until next time, 7 threes.